of course, it's time. It's Friday. It's time for Meals with Monsignor Michael Billian. I do want to tell you real quickly, we're going to be hearing about a recipe today. You can follow along with that recipe simply by going to annunciationradio.com. Click on programs and you'll see the very first thing listed, Meals with Monsignor. You'll not only find this recipe, but all the 30 that preceded it, and you could choose your favorite. Good morning to you, Monsignor.
Well, good morning, everybody in the Annunciation radio world. It's so good to be with you today on this wonderful feast day. I really like this feast day of St. Pius X. I have a particular connection to St. Pius X when I did my ordination tree, kind of going back in history and my touchstone. Pius X is in my ordination tree.
Oh, my goodness.
So back a few generations, ordination was given by Pius X to one given and passed down the road to me. So it's a nice day for me. I think perhaps that's why I have such a great dedication to liturgy and to the Eucharist, perhaps because of his wonderful inspiration. Came from Italy, of course, so food was a part of his life, even though he was very poor. He grew up in a very poor environment, but you always had something to eat on the table. So let's talk about something to eat on the table today. And Pat, I want to tell you, you don't have trouble pronouncing this recipe.
Are you sure? Oh, you're right. You're right. I won't. I can do this one, Monsignor.
Is that
I heard what you said last week. I listened to what you said, and I decided to do a recipe that you could read and you could understand and you can speak about.
And it has vegetables in it. I thought, is something wrong with Monsignor? This one has vegetables in it.
Not many though. Not many though. And it's also, I decided to do, you can have all different kinds of stroganoff. We're doing pork stroganoff today. But because of the prices of meat these days, pork is very economical to buy when it comes to price per pound. So I thought we'd do something that Pat could read and understand and something that was economical. So we're doing pork stroganoff, a wonderful little recipe. We need some pork, some chopped onions, some garlic, some mushrooms, tomato paste, chicken stock, Dijon mustard, and we need a little smoked paprika. Now, make sure you get the right kind of paprika. There are really three kinds of paprika. You could have a sweet paprika, a hot, or smoked. And this recipe calls for smoked paprika, some Italian seasoning, sour cream, some parsley. And those are the list of ingredients that we need to make this. So how do we go about doing it? First, get your pork. If you're going to cut it into bite-sized pieces. Now, you can use, I like to use a pork tenderloin because it is very tender. It's easy to cut, not a difficulty. You can also use a pork steak if you'd like and cut into bite-sized pieces. Not mini pieces, but bite-sized pieces. And then just thoroughly dry them and just season them with some salt and some pepper. And then in your skillet on the stove, or if you have a nice casserole pan, a heavy casserole pan, you can use one of those too. Put some olive oil in there, a couple tablespoons, and then just brown the pork, but don't do it all at once. Do it in smaller batches so that the pork touches the bottom of the pan and isn't piled up in there. So you can do it in depending how much pork you're going to use. And just brown that. Give each piece, again, enough room to kind of get that done, to sear properly. But you don't have to cook the pork all the way through because you're going to put the pork back in and cook it some more later. So once you get that all browned in there, just take it all out of that pan, okay? But don't take what's left over after you take the meat out of the pan. Then we're going to put some vegetables in, just reduce that heat to a medium heat. Put some onions in, let that cook for 3 or 4 minutes so they're nice and softened. Then you're going to add your garlic and then your mushrooms. And cook that until those mushrooms are really nicely browned and most of the moisture has evaporated out of those mushrooms. So now we have our pork on the side that's already seared but not cooked all the way through. We have our vegetables that have been cooked a bit in the pot. And so now we're going to build the sauce. So you've got that pot with your mushrooms and garlic in there, and you're going to add the paprika, add some of those Italian seasonings. You can buy a combined Italian seasoning, which has basil and oregano in there, or you can just put your own in if you have your own individual. You might like more basil than you like oregano. That's okay, but you can use the mix as well. That's very easy to do that way for people. So put those herbs in there, and then add the tomato paste. Not a lot, just a nice tablespoon or two of tomato paste in there, and let that just keep stirring that constantly. Then add the Dijon mustard. You're going to put in only about a tablespoon or so of that. Now remember, you can adjust this recipe. If you like Dijon mustard more than something else, put a little more in there. You're allowed to do that. You don't have to follow it so strictly, because I hardly ever do. So you got your Dijon mustard in there, then pour your chicken stock in, about a cup and a half or so of chicken stock. And then make sure when you pour that in that you scrape all the little stuff off the bottom of the pan, because you want what's left in the bottom, the scrapings, all the way back to the meat, to the onions, all to get part of this sauce. And then just gently simmer that for a few minutes until it reduces slightly. Then turn it down, put it to a low heat, and then stir in your sour cream. Do that, and just do that nice and slowly into there till it all gets very smooth. Then take your pork and put it back in. Now, at this point, it's very important, as that sauce is cooking, make sure it never boils. Because what happens oftentimes when you have sour cream in a sauce and you start to boil it, the sour cream begins to separate. So you don't really want that to happen. You want it to stay very blended like that. And just cook that very gently. Just let it simmer until the pork is cooked all the way through. How do you know that? Cut it open. Take a bite of one piece and to make sure that it's cooked all the way through. And then, if sometimes that sauce might be a little too thin, you can do this. If it has to be thickened up a little bit, you just take like a tablespoon of cornstarch with a couple tablespoons of cold water, whip that up, get all the lumps out of it, and begin to put that in there. That'll thicken the sauce, if you need to do that. It might be thick enough for you then. You might not need to do that. That's kind of an option if necessary. Then you need to put that over something, So I suggest using a nice buttered egg noodle that you can buy in any store, or you can also put that on over rice, or if you just have a wide pasta of any kind, put that down and then pour this pork stroganoff on top of it and enjoy it. Oh, you can sprinkle it with a little parsley on top if you want to make it look real pretty. Taste it again. Might need a little salt, might need a little pepper. Season that to your taste. And then enjoy this great, easy meal of pork stroganoff. A good thing to have any time of year. And this is a good time to buy pork, so go out and get some and try this stroganoff dish.
This looks really good, Monsignor. I do have a question there. You mentioned smoked paprika. Is that I mean, where do I find that? Can I get that in a grocery store? I usually just see paprika and I pick it up.
Well, Pat, let me suggest that you look closer at the spice rack in the grocery store.
Okay.
Because you'll find different names on some of them.
Okay.
Okay?
Got it.
Look for the one that says smoked.
I got it. Okay, quickly,
Okay.
can I ask one more real quick? What do you do with tomato paste that's left over? Because you never use a lot for any recipe. And it goes bad
Let me suggest you buy a tube of it and not a can of it.
Oh.
It comes in a tube, just like toothpaste, and squirt it in there.
Oh, I love
Put the
that.
cap back on. Okay?
I'll tell you
love
what I
it.
look for at the grocery store. I want to find the Monsignor Billian aisle that's got
Yes.
the pre-made stuff that I can just heat up. I love it. Thank you, Monsignor Billian.
Thanks, Monsignor.
Have a blessed day.